Welcome and welcome back. We are Prism, and tonight we'll be discussing compatibility. That is, aligning with what resonates with you. And what we mean by that is your energy emits a frequency. It emits a series of frequencies, as a matter of fact, but for the purposes of this discussion, you're emitting a certain wavelength of energy. That's your broadcast signal. That's where you come in on the cosmic radio dial, if you'd like. And that fingerprint of energy is going to call in other energy. And it calls in other like-minded frequencies that resonate with you, but it also has a lot to do with how you interact with the world at large. Meaning the world is filled with all sorts of different kinds of frequencies coming from people, from situations, from emotional patterns, etc. And when you go out into the world, or just by virtue of waking up and being in the world, your signature energy pattern is going to be interacting with all of these others. And that interaction can either be harmonious or it can create conflict. It can create disharmony. And if you are on the path, which we assume you are by virtue of you watching this program right now, if you are on the path bettering yourself, attempting to become an evolved being, stepping into your true authentic power, then it's imperative that you start thinking about compatibility in your life. The energetic exchange, the energetic relationship between you and the beings, the materiality, the interactions, the experiences around you. So, you, to remind you, are working on raising your energy to the best of your ability and to every day furthering yourself to becoming a higher and higher frequency of authentic love and compassion and unity and all the uplifting energies that are inside of you, the noble qualities, if you'd like, within inside of you. You want to be broadcasting them out as a beacon, as a battery that spends all day churning out this energy, churning and sending it forth into the world so it can raise the collective energy of this planet, of humanity, and in general be available to anyone who needs it to further their own evolution. That's an essence of your job. Now, to do that, you want to be as pure with the expression of your energy as you can be. In other words, you want your signal to be undiluted and undiminished. You want it to be strong. You don't want it to be wavering or pulled up or down. Well, perhaps up. That could be a good thing. But we meant up and down in terms of being caught in a cycle of turbulence, going up and down. Now, you're going to have various ups and downs all the time. To a degree, that is just part of the phenomenon of being incarnated on Earth. You're in giant, multidimensional fields of energy. These fields are pulling on you, they're pushing on you. Some of them are helping you, and some of them are, quote unquote, hindering you. But because the fields are so tumultuous, particularly this time, it literally is a whitewater of energy. But that doesn't mean you have to be lost in it. Your job, and you have the ability to do this, is to rise above it and to set your own baseline, which is consistent, which is a higher frequency, a higher vibration, which is not going to be dragged down into that turbulent energy. But there are also some very practical steps that you can take to ensure that you have the best expression of your energy at all times. It starts with what's around you. Now, some things you will have greater or less control about changing in your life. But wherever you have the opportunity and the ability to change your interaction with certain people, situations, etc., it is imperative that you do so at this time. It's imperative for your own sake, for your own mission of keeping your energy high. So compatibility means, how does your energy feel and interact with the various people in your life? That's the best place to start, really. Or at least it's a great one, because you can easily make a list, do a roster call of who is in your life, who are the people you spend a lot of time with. And we should say spend by choice. You may have a job that you go to that you can't leave right now. And we understand that certain people are in situations that aren't going to necessarily be able to be changed overnight. But that doesn't mean you can't take an inventory of some of the deep relationships in your life, or even the peripheral ones, and decide whether or not they are amplifying this energy, whether they're buttressing the good energy you're cultivating and the higher energy that you are attempting to achieve, or are they undermining it? Are they bringing you back down into old patterns, pulling you to lower depths of energy, which keeps you stuck in incompatibility? Now, those are places you can change simply by walking away from those relationships. If you discover that anybody in your life, family, friend, acquaintance, leaves you feeling low, feeling drained, feeling taken advantage of, energetically speaking, emotionally speaking, then that is the kind of relationship you may want to re-examine and perhaps let go of the mooring and let it drift apart. This doesn't mean, by the way, that you have to have a big scene or you have to sever it in dramatic fashion. As a matter of fact, the easiest way to change everything and anything is to raise your energy. The very fact and the very act of raising one's energy and consistently keeping it at a higher level will create, or rather amplify, the incompatibility in all areas of your life and cause those areas, those people, those experiences to gently drift away. So if you want to tackle this wholesale, if you'd like, take it all on at once, then the easiest path to do so is to keep all of your energy up at all times, to do everything in your power to make sure you're operating from your peak condition, sending out love, feeling as though you're in the moment, feeling compassion for others, envisioning and imagining the world at its most harmonious, its most unified, its most loving, its most open-minded, and interacting on that level, always seeking to add good energy to the situations that you're in, keeping those thoughts away from judgment, away from negativity, away from lack of self-worth, away from anger and division. If you stick with that and keep that baseline high, then you'll soon discover that anyone who is incompatible with that state of being, that state of vibration, will begin to drift away of their own accord. They will recognize, even if only unconsciously, that they no longer can link with you the way they used to. The old patterns simply won't work anymore. The notion of compatibility we like a lot because it strips away the idea of conflict, of breaking apart from things that don't work, of severing ties, and all these other dramatic words that have embedded in the idea of them an action of violence, if you'd like, an action of conflict, if you'd like, of pushing, fighting off something. When you think of your interactions, in your particularly energetic interactions in terms of compatibility, then it's a much simpler and truer notion of whether or not you relate and link to things or not. And rather than making a battle out of it or a drama out of it, it's simply a notion of recognizing, does this fit with me or does it not? Does this amplify what I want to express with the world, or does it keep me stuck in patterns of relationship, of behavior, of thinking, of action that are undermining my ability to change and become the best version of myself, my multidimensional expression? So make a list and a roster of this, and you must be fearless with it. You must have a conversation with yourself that is unvarnished, that is truthful, in which you really strip away the history, you strip away any of the familiarity, any of the lures that may want to keep you locked into a relationship, into a pattern of any sort that is no longer compatible. You must really look at the essence of it. What's really going on with this relationship? Do I really feel joy? Do I really feel uplifted? Do I really feel that this relationship adds something to me and I add to it? Is this a person that's on my path and whom I want to walk down the path with, the path of life, the path of evolution? Is this a interaction which I feel when I walk away from it was one of the highlights of my day, that made me feel better than before I interacted with that person? These are the kinds of questions you must ask. And if the answer is consistently no, then you must have the courage to make the break from the relationship, no matter who it is. No matter if it's a dear old friend or even a family member, who, recognizing that it can be trickier to completely drift apart from a family member, you may end up seeing them at various occasions, but it doesn't mean the relationship has to stay the same. It is imperative that you take stock of these relationships and that you allow yourself to drift away from those with whom you no longer energetically fit. And the same is true with other elements of your life, with behaviors, experiences, and various thought patterns. All of these things should be analyzed as well with the same set of criteria. Does going to this club and hanging out in this area, doing this activity, does that make me happy? Does this series of thoughts, this old idea, the way that I always look at X, Y, and Z and have this reaction, does that make me happy? You can get very abstract with it, but start with the more concrete things like relationships, like behaviors, like hobbies, and your job, if you're able to have the opportunity to change it. Absolutely. Look at what you do in life. What are the things you spend your time doing? And if these things come up short in terms of helping to amplify your energy, then they are incompatible. And that is the universe. The universe and your inner self telling you that they're no longer on your path. And if something's not on your path, then it is an obstacle in your path. All right? Your path should flow smoothly with ease and grace. The things on your path should be things that help propel you down the path, that bring you down it, that urge you down it. Things that are compatible with you will do that. In fact, they will just feel like part of the flow. They will feel like the very energy and the movement of the path. They will feel like the river itself bringing you along. Things that are incompatible will feel like the rocks, the obstacles, those things in the river that you crash into, that knock you off course, that send you off in a direction that you didn't want to go in, that beat you perhaps on the land and prevent you from flowing at all. You know what these things are. You know them intuitively. You know them in your heart. It doesn't take a lot of analysis to figure out what is incompatible. What it takes is the ability to clearly see things, to allow yourself to look at things clearly, and then to allow yourself perhaps to have the courage to imagine them being different. Whether you can change them, and sometimes you can change a relationship or an experience by changing your attitude, by changing your energy and seeing if the person changes, seeing if your relationship with the experience feels better. Some things that may initially seem like they're going to be obstacles are merely a incompatibility because you need to make an adjustment, and your adjustment will be reciprocated, and therefore you can salvage that person, place, thing, that environment, that experience, that thought pattern or belief in your life. But if that doesn't work, or if you know deep inside you that it will not work, that it's no longer necessary, that you've outgrown it, any of these sorts of feelings or self-assessments, then it's time to move on. It's time to flow around them. It's time to have the faith in yourself, in your blueprint, in your pattern, in the design of the universe, if you'd like, that you need to go in a different direction, and that direction will take care of you. It'll lead you to somewhere better. It will lead you to somewhere more applicable, right? And as a matter of fact, you should leave notions perhaps of better or worse behind as well. We know we just used the word better. And it's not that it's a bad word. It's only bad insofar as you start judging things, because that's why compatibility is such a good measuring stick. You don't need to judge when you're determining if something is compatible or not compatible. All you're doing is figuring out and recognizing whether or not something fits with you. You see? So you don't have to make a judgment about the integrity, about the essence of the thing. You just need to determine, does this fit with me? Is this the right thing for me? Is it the right thing for my energy pattern, my multidimensional self as I express it right now, and where I want to go in the future? It doesn't mean this is better or this is worse. It simply means you have faith that you're following your path, and you have faith that anything that doesn't feel like it propels you down the path, it should be left behind, and it's okay to do so. Now, this is a very tumultuous time right now. The energies around you push and pull. We've talked before about things like discernment. We've talked before about how to leave behind various energies, to stop thinking of things as battles, for instance. And this goes hand in hand with all of that. This is all about attuning yourself to your inner compass, learning how to find direction from within, accepting yourself as a multidimensional being. So it's very much about self-worth. Cultivating a sense of self-worth enables you to more clearly cut through, if you'd like, all of the static. It enables you to see clearly where the path is, see clearly where the obstacles are, see clearly where the outdated connections are, be they relationships, be they thought patterns, all of the stuff we're discussing right now. And when you are immersing yourself in self-love, when you are recognizing that you are worthy, you're a part of all there is, you're a unique expression of it, but you're also an embodiment of all of it. Therefore, you should feel proud to be yourself. And you should have great pride and faith and understanding that you're here for a reason, a unique reason that needs to be expressed. And the very fact that you have a desire to do so should amplify the feeling of self-worth, the feeling of determination to get on and stay on the path and have the strength to step away from anything that's no longer on it, step away from anyone who makes you feel like your path isn't worthy, that your path isn't the right one, or that you should instead get on their path or stay on the old path or go backwards. No. Your sense of self-worth will amplify the inner compass. These will work hand in hand. The more that you're able to hear the inner compass and follow it, the more you'll feel self-worth, and thus you generate that inner power to greater and greater degrees, creating more inner strength and more faith, which of course amplifies your energy. So whatever angle or direction you come to think about compatibility, it's valid if it's getting you to change in order to express yourself more authentically than you were doing before. It doesn't really matter which of these tools or devices or viewpoints we've been discussing tonight that you use. There again, there's no better or worse one. It's all about compatibility, isn't it? It's about which tools, which metaphysical tools work for you. The key is you've got to use them. You've got to every day take the metaphysical tools that feel like the best fit for you and use them to amplify your energy, amplify your sense of self-worth, amplify your sense of faith that you have this path, that it's a valid one, that it's taking you somewhere important, somewhere that you need to go, somewhere that's part of your mission. And as you do all of this, you'll soon discover the path leads the way, and that which is not on the path falls away. And that should be the story of your life going forward. Compatibility. Make it your measuring stick. From simple things like going out to the store. Is this the right store? Is this the right thing to purchase? Do I still want to be buying all this junk food? Or do I want to buy over here from this healthier, more organic, more vibrant food? You can make little choices like that. But you don't have to get bogged down in making everything a compatibility test. You'll start to do it naturally. The compatibility is very important when you're moving towards being a more authentic expression of yourself in following the inner compass. Once you learn how to follow the inner compass, you no longer need to be analyzing compatibility, because by following the inner compass, it will always steer you towards compatibility. So thinking about the notion of compatibility is the step along the way to training yourself to follow the compass fully, in which case you know you can have full faith that the path is taking you where you are most authentic, into places that are most compatible. But you must practice along that way. You must spend the interim period using that measuring stick of compatibility to teach yourself what relates to you, what helps you and what doesn't, and then to learn how to see it and make better choices in regards to those things in your life that don't serve you. We're very excited you're on this path. Every one of these steps you take, and every new vantage point with which you see yourself and you see your potential, is a glorious source of celebration. It's a wonderful part of your unfoldment into a multidimensional being. So make it happy and joyful. Celebrate the process. None of this should be done with stress and heaviness or even a heavy heart. It should be done knowing that it is the right thing, and that as you drift apart from people, particularly people in your life or old patterns, you know that they are not compatible with you either. They'll also end up in the right place. You may feel a little tug at the heartstrings if it's an old friend or if it's a family member, but you must remind yourself they too have a path, and it doesn't serve either one of you to be locked into an incompatible relationship. By letting them go, you free them to get onto their path, to find more compatible people, places, things, expressions in their life, and the two of you will be happier for it. If you come back together later, that may be, and that would be fine. But when you recognize the incompatibility, the best thing you can do for everyone involved is let everyone go their own path. We're happy you're on this path with us. We look forward to many more discussions and meetings and your unfoldment, which is a beautiful thing for us to observe. Till next time, we love you.